Welcome back to Inside Ambition. I'm Alexandra George, and today I'm talking to Brett and Dylan. They're part of the organization called Drexel Community for Justice. You've probably seen their Instagram account or Facebook page within the recent days, and I wanted to talk to them about the work that they're doing. Hi Dylan, hi Brett, how are you guys?
Hi.
Hey, good talking to you.
I'm doing good.
So why don't you guys start by just introducing yourselves as individuals and then how you got started in being a part of this.
I can go. I'm Brett Mitchell. I'm a rising second year at Drexel University College of Medicine, and me and Dylan are classmates. And he reached out to me actually after President Fry, sort of announced his plans to address sort of the anti-racism initiatives, and we just felt like they weren't doing enough, and we wanted to sort of take charge. And I think Dylan's more responsible for really getting things off the ground, but I'll let him talk about that. So yeah, I've just been kind of helping out as much as I can.
Hi, I'm Dylan Kaye. I'm also a rising second year medical student at Drexel. And yeah, like Brett said, I think, obviously so much is going on right now in this moment. And, we have all these big institutions, companies responding to, issues related to systemic and institutional racism. And so upon receiving that, statement from President Fry, it just felt like a statement. And so, I think none of the ideas that are really presented by Drexel Community for Justice are new ideas. This has been long in the works by, abolitionist organizations and individuals. So this was just, it felt like a moment that we could really capitalize on holding our own institution accountable.
Yeah, and I think the work that you guys are doing is really great, and I think a lot of students think that. But what would you say is like your main mission? Is this specifically in reference to Black Lives Matter and systemic racism, or is this something that you hope will be bigger? Or you just, what's your main purpose, would you say?
I can, if you want it. Okay.
You got it.
Okay. So I think, there's a lot going on, and I think our name, Drexel Community for Justice, is sort of general for a reason, because justice can mean so many things. And obviously in this moment, we are really pushing for a bunch of issues related to the Drexel University Police, the Philadelphia Police, gentrification, issues that we really feel that we can hold Drexel accountable for. But more generally, I don't think we're ever going to be able to say mission accomplished, but, moving forward, doing things, fighting for other issues. So like voter suppression, things like that come November. I think that this is just the beginning.
That's really awesome. And I feel like not only Drexel, but every university should have an organization like this. But how did this come about? I mean, I know that you mentioned that you guys are friends, you saw a problem, you felt like you needed to step up. But why in this form? I mean, you mentioned you guys are med students, right? This is not like you're not law students. I had a conversation the other day with someone from the criminal justice department, but you guys saw a need and you're stepping up. So what really made you feel like this is the time, this is the place, and this is the need?
I can take this one. So yeah, I think like just off of what Dylan said, I think, this is like sort of the first step. And we just like from the time when George Floyd got murdered, and that week was a very emotional week and a very week. It was a week of high tensions, and I think a lot of schools, they use that time to sort of, give out a response to it, and a lot of the responses were not as adequate as they could have been, and we, especially me as a Black student within Drexel and my circles, I'm involved in our med school's SNMA, and we took the opportunity to establish demands to the school and ask for more things so that we can feel more inclusive and representative within the school. And so we sort of have been given, that leverage to make this change, because they see, all this pain that's existed for many years. This isn't just been from a 2020 issue. Of course, it's been going on for centuries. And, you see people even though it was about a Black male getting murdered, you see people toppling Confederate statues just because this is an opportunity for change to come through, because people see that, all right, they've had enough. And Penn's police and also Temple's police has also been under fire recently, and we just saw this as a time to really get Drexel's community on board to make these changes, because we feel like we have leverage.
Yeah, for sure. This is the time to be asking those questions and making those demands. It's very hard to say no when this conversation is the main focus for most people. You're on your social media pages, you guys have been doing a lot of raising awareness about what's happening and what has happened in the past. Where are you getting your information from? Because this is not something that, Drexel's not necessarily in the spotlight in when it comes to this stuff, but you guys really seem to be getting good information and releasing it to the students. But where is it all coming from?
So I'd like to give, a shout out to the Penn Community for Justice and the Police Free Penn. They have also been working on these issues, and, Penn and Drexel are neighbors in West Philadelphia, and it's hard to divorce the issues that Penn is having to the issues that Drexel is having. And they have really been, especially the Penn Community for Justice, I was able to connect with their organizers about, how they grew their group to, 3,000 members, and they sort of gave guidelines for how to do that. And we've been working closely with them, both publicly and behind the scenes. And in terms of the information gathering, it's sort of this shared pool of research that's being done by all of these groups. We're working with the Drexel Anti-Racism Action Coalition, which is primarily made up of faculty and staff at Drexel. And they have been a great source of research. They're academics, and they really know how to dig into these issues. So they have been very, very supportive.
Yeah, I'm really glad to hear that from a student, that there is contact with that task force, because sometimes you just get the name and the email and you're like, okay, but what are you actually doing? So I'm really happy to hear that they're a good resource for you guys. What would you say are your goals? Do you have any tangible goals? I know that you have a couple change.org petitions circling. If either of you want to elaborate a little bit about what changes you want to see made.
So I think our main goals are to, just recently from the protests, you've seen a lot of the misconduct and mishandling of the situations from the Philadelphia Police Department, and Drexel's police is affiliated with them, and so we wanted to stop Drexel's funding of the Philadelphia Police Foundation and divest from their own police department as well, Drexel's police department, and because we feel like Drexel isn't contributing enough to the community in West Philadelphia, and there's some property taxes that they don't pay to end up, contributing to public schools, and we want them to be more held accountable for that. And we also wanted to, the independent review of Drexel's police department to not be done by a former police commissioner. We wanted it to be done by, people who actually have studied law, like law students or law professionals, and or an external organization to really see and assess the things that they do wrong that could be changed. And we just want to, bring more accountability to that.
Yeah, for sure. It can't really be an independent investigation if you've come from that field, right?
Right.
That's heavily biased for many reasons. So I'm really glad to see the work that you guys are doing. What is your message to students right now? What do you want students to know about the work you're doing, and what do you want students to be doing?
So, the message to students, alumni, faculty, any sort of concerned parties, Drexel is situated in a community and it can't be removed from that community. So this really applies to everyone. We are at a point in history that, there's a lot of momentum, and that, as students, we can make change. And I think that sometimes it doesn't feel that way. But I think, making noise about these issues and not letting it die down, I think, myself included, I wouldn't have called myself an activist in any sense, maybe a couple months ago. And it's definitely a learning experience, but we can't let that energy die down. And I think people need to stay activated. And this organization, Drexel Community for Justice, is a way to do that. And because we are growing in membership, if someone burns out, we have other people that are willing to step in and keep pushing. So that way this doesn't die down and it's not a flash in the pan like we've seen after so many, horrific killings and sort of, injustices in our history, that this is not going to be just another news story. It's going to be a movement that persists and hopefully makes real change.
Yeah, I think that's the light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, this is stuff we've been seeing for years, decades, and it's really great to see on the smallest level what you guys are doing and how that change is just gonna grow, and how you guys are working with Penn. If students want to get involved, what can they do?
Well, we do have sort of a Google form right now that's asking if they have any specific skills that we could utilize as far as organizing or creating content, also writing or editing, things like that. We sort of are trying to tackle the issue on multiple mediums with Instagram, and then trying to organize people on Facebook. We have the petition going as well on change.org. I think hopefully, once we get more members, once I guess maybe when the pandemic sort of slows down, we were, we could still even do this now, but we were thinking about holding actual protests in person or sit-ins, just to really make sure that they hear our message and know that we want change, and we're not just trying to say things without any meaning. We want these things to be done.
Well, I just want to thank you guys so much for taking the time to talk with me. and get your message out even further. And thank you guys for the work that you're doing. It's definitely not easy, but I really, just as a student, I appreciate that you guys are doing this work, but I know that the greater Drexel community is very grateful as well. We will definitely make sure to link those petitions and the Google form if you want to share that. But thank you guys so much.
Yeah, no problem.
You too, Alex. We
Thank
really
you for having me.
You guys reaching out and connecting with us on this platform, just because people need to know what's going on. So we really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. If you guys like this video, make sure that you leave a comment down below with some suggestions for Drexel Community for Justice, or maybe the administration, about changes you want to see. Make sure to subscribe to Drexel Television's YouTube channel and follow our Instagram at inside_ambition, and follow Drexel for Justice on Instagram as well. Thanks so much for watching. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.